What is this? Oak and Eden finished whiskey. By popular demand, a review of these three bottles from Oak and Eden, who coined the term in-bottle finishing, where they place a 5-inch long spiral cut piece of wood into every bottle of their fully aged whiskey to bring new flavors and aromas to the whiskey. Gimmicky? Sure. Does it work? We have 3 bottles to find out. It's What's on the Shelf Wednesday on the Mash and Drum. Welcome to the Mash and Drum. I am Jason C, and this is What's on the Shelf Wednesday, the series where I bring you quick reviews of whiskeys you can actually find on the shelf, including bourbons, rye, scotches, Irish whiskeys, and more. Today we are tasting 3 different bottles in the Oak and Eden lineup of in-bottle finished whiskeys. These have been sitting on the shelf here in my area for a while now. I figured, why not taste them? Gotten a few requests for people to let me know what I think of these. Take a closer look. So a little bit about Oak and Eden. They started by sourcing fully aged American whiskey from some carefully selected distilleries, but wanted to figure out a way to innovate by finishing their whiskeys at a bottle level. Now that innovation that they have patented is called in-bottle finishing. So instead of finishing the whiskey in a secondary barrel, they put the secondary barrel, that 5-inch spire, into the bottle. It's spiral cut to maximize surface area and uniquely fired and charred for each whiskey that they create. So you guys can see it in the close-ups, but right there in the bottle, you can see the 5-inch spiral that's right there, and just putting a little bit of a finish on the whiskey. Obviously, we know that there are a variety of ways to help speed age and get more flavor into a whiskey in a shorter period of time. Smaller barrels, the smaller the barrel, the faster the whiskey ages. Heat cycling warehouses like Woodford and Old Forester uses. Put it on a boat, Jefferson's Ocean. Put it on a truck or trailer, Whistle Pig Roadstock. Hit it with percussive sound technology, just like Blackened. Pretty much nothing surprises me anymore. Opinions vary, but some work, some don't. It's all about setting yourself apart. Today we are tasting 3 different offerings from them that include their Bourbon Spire, their Wheat Spire, and Rye Spire. These are supposedly sourced from MGP, aged for 2 years. Now the spires themselves remain in the bottles for about 6 months before they are shipped to stores and before we see them on shelves, and that's where they remain. As far as pricing goes, they're about 48 bucks retail, say $50 with tax each. Let's start with the bourbon. The bourbon has a toasted oak spiral in it, so you're looking at a toasted type of bourbon flavor profile. Let's see what we get here. All right, 90 proof, here we go. I mean, it smells young. There's definitely some younger whiskey in here. Man, a lot of corn up front. Like dusty corn. Definitely some light caramel here. I don't know if I'm getting like traditional toasted bourbon notes, you know, like the marshmallow or anything like that, or, you know, graham cracker. There might be a hint of graham cracker in there, a little bit of cinnamon, but yeah, it's definitely got this young, oaky, earthy, woody flavor, at least on the nose. Let's try it. So, not bad. It is youthful. I am getting, again, that dusty corn note to it. I think the toasted oak is coming through a little bit. I'm not getting as much sweetness as I thought I would from a toasted oak spire. I'm getting a little bit more cinnamon, maybe some graham cracker there too. Not super sweetness though. Getting a lot of dusty corn. It's pretty thin on the palate. Obviously, it's, you know, it's 90 proof though. It's a nice bourbon. But I feel like if I want a toasted bourbon, you know, I want those toasted flavor profiles. I want the marshmallow and the graham cracker, a little bit of that extra spice. This does have a little bit of spice to it, a little bit of layer of that graham cracker sweetness, little cinnamon, but there's a lot of youth kind of overlaying all that. All right, so the next one we're gonna try is the Wheat Spire, which is a wheated bourbon with a French oak spire that's been sitting in it. I love French oak, as you guys know. Again, this is about 47, 48, call it $50 for a bottle of this one. Again, 90 proof as well. Let's see what we get on the nose for this one. All right, I get some little bit of dark fruit, and I get that wheated bourbon note. There's that, I don't know, like that baked, like that fresh baked bready note that's going on in it. But there is a hint of dark fruit in here. Maybe it might be like a, it's not a dark cherry, maybe a very, you know, very light cherry note. Again, a little bit of cinnamon in here as well. Not much though. I feel like I was getting more cinnamon in the regular bourbon, not the wheated bourbon. This one's coming off more dark fruit and a little bit more, again, that baked bread type note that you get sometimes with wheaters. All right, let's try it. I'm gonna need another sip of that one. I actually think I like the regular bourbon better. I love French oak, but I think the youthful wheated bourbon that's in this bottle, and I don't think that Spire is doing enough to enhance the flavors at all. There's a dark fruitiness that is there, but there's, man, I don't know, there's just something funky going on. Yeah, it tastes like fresh cut wood. It's like sipping like a maraschino cherry, but someone put some like sawdust in your whiskey. Now for me personally, I like wheated bourbon at a higher age, and for such a young wheated bourbon, I could taste that youthfulness to it and that sawdust note that's kind of turned me off about that one. All right, let's go next to the rye. Now this is just a simple charred oak spiral in a rye whiskey, so you would assume this is a 95.5 rye. Again, about $50 for the bottle, and again, double check, 90 proof. All right, let's see what we get on the rye. Now rye usually does a little bit better, even though it's younger, but it is proof down. Let's see what it does here. All right, this is not surprising at all. It literally smells like a Christmas tree. Christmas tree, orange zest. There is a nice punch of vanilla in this though. A nice vanilla extract punch I'm getting on top of it. Yeah, this is all orange zest, lemon. Again, that Christmas tree note. That Fraser fir in a glass type thing going on. But there's a very, very rich punch of vanilla that's on top of it, which so far on the nose, this is one seems the most promising. All right, let's give it a go. It's probably the most balanced. I think the toasted oak spire in there is really giving it a nice, that extra lift of vanilla. Maybe a light caramel there, but all the orange, lemon, the black pepper, all the spice that you would get from a good 95.5 rye is all in there. There's nothing youthful about it, nothing that like I'm getting in the wheater or even the bourbon. Let me go back to one more sip of the bourbon here. The bourbon actually smells a lot better than it is. On the nose, I'm getting way more caramel. A lot of caramel, actually, like toffee. But just not really getting it on the palate. Alright, so here's my thing with these. I think it's a cool idea. The problem is that you're using very, very young whiskey and counting on that spire to enhance the flavor that much. And to me, to someone that drinks a lot of different types of whiskeys, the spires don't do enough to alter and to hide that youth. I think it works the best in the rye, honestly. Ryes tend to do a little bit better at a younger age, and I think this one is no exception. I do think the Spire adds a little bit of lift of vanilla to it, a little bit of light caramel. The bourbon I think is decent. It's an okay bourbon. I do not like the price on this, $50 for this bottle. I mean, I can get Rare Breed from Wild Turkey for cheaper. And then the wheated bourbon is just, yeah, no, not my thing. I was very hopeful for this one because I love French oak. Nope. Yeah, you can't hide the youthfulness of a wheated bourbon, of a young wheated bourbon with a 5-inch French oak spire. Just not gonna happen to me. They're starting with good whiskey from MGP, that's great, but I mean there's just certain youthful characteristics that these 5-inch pieces of wood are not going to, I think, add to the conversation too much. I think it does work a little bit better in the rye, like I said. Now, the other thing I was wondering, if I just have these sitting in my whiskey room for, say, another year, you know, what are these spires going to do to the whiskey over time? I'm wondering if it actually adds more flavor to it. Does it make it more tannic and bitter? I think that's really up to the drinker to see, you know, what it does. I'll probably be willing to try with the wheated bourbon to see if it actually gets a little bit better. The rye, I think, is fine where it is. And I do like the caramel note I'm getting on the nose, so I'm hoping if I let this sit a little bit, maybe it'll start to infuse into the whiskey on the palate as well. But overall, it's a nice idea, but for the price and for the age of the whiskey that's inside of it, $50 for each of these, for me, there's way too many better options that are available on the shelf that are better than these at that price point. All right, guys, well, thanks for watching this episode of What's on the Shelf Wednesday on the Mash and Drum. If you liked it, hit the subscribe button below. Also, hit that like button if you haven't yet. Find me on Instagram, find me on Twitter. Let me know if you've had these, if you've seen these. Did I change your mind about them? Or did I scare you away from them a little bit? Either way, let me know down in the comments. And like I always say, it's not about the whiskey, it's the people you share it with. Leave a comment below also if you have any ideas for any future What's on the Shelf Wednesday episodes. Cheers. See you next time on the Mash and Drum.